The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council chamber sparkled under three suns. Inside, High Counselor Marcus drummed his long fingers on the polished table, his gray skin reflecting the rainbow lights from above. Another boring day of managing primitive species, he thought. High Counselor, we have detected a new civilization that has achieved faster than light travel, announced Advisor Peters, his tentacles waving with excitement as he projected a hologram of Earth into the center of the chamber. Marcus leaned forward, studying the blue planet with mild interest. How primitive are they? They call themselves humans, Peters replied. They appear to have developed FTL technology within the last decade. Their ships are unremarkable. Basic fusion drives, simple shield systems. Nothing that could threaten even our smallest patrol vessels. The other council members exchanged knowing looks. They had seen this many times before, young species stumbling into the galactic community, ready to be guided under the council's firm control. Send the diplomatic vessel, Marcus ordered. The usual protocol. Captain James Walker stood at the observation deck of Earth Defense Station Alpha, hidden beneath the surface of the moon. Through the reinforced windows, he watched Earth's first official diplomatic vessel approach the meeting point. It was a small ship, deliberately designed to look unimpressive. Status report, he commanded through his neural link. All defense systems are masked, sir, replied Lieutenant Rogers from the control room. The Council ship won't detect anything beyond what we want them to see. Our advanced sensors show they brought exactly what intelligence predicted. A mid-sized diplomatic vessel with moderate weapons. They're not taking us seriously. Walker smiled. Everything was going according to plan. For 15 years, humanity had prepared for this moment, carefully hiding their true technological capabilities. The history of Earth had taught them one vital lesson. When powerful civilizations discover less advanced ones, it rarely ends well for the latter. Begin Operation First Impression, Walker ordered. Remember everyone, we're playing the part of an eager but unsophisticated species. Keep the facade tight. The Council's diplomatic ship, the Star Envoy, descended through Earth's atmosphere with practiced grace. Ambassador Reed stood at its bridge, reviewing the first contact protocols with barely concealed boredom. In his 1,000 years of diplomatic service, he had overseen dozens of these meetings. They always ended the same way, with the new species accepting the Council's generous offer of protection and guidance. The human delegation awaited them at a simple landing pad in a place called Geneva. Reed noted their primitive environment suits and suppressed a smile. They didn't even have basic atmospheric adjustment technology. "Welcome to Earth," James Walker said through the translation device. "We are honored by your presence." Reed stepped forward, his ceremonial robes flowing in Earth's wind. "We bring greetings from the Galactic Council, young ones. We have watched your species' first steps into the cosmic community with great interest." As the formal introductions continued, Walker maintained his carefully crafted expression of awe and respect. Behind him, in bunkers deep beneath the Swiss mountains, quantum computers monitored every detail of the alien ship, analyzing its strengths and weaknesses. In orbital stations invisible to Council sensors, humanity's real fleet stood ready, just in case. "We would be honored to learn from your wisdom," Walker said, playing his role perfectly. "Earth hopes to find its place among the stars." Reed nodded approvingly. These humans were properly deferential, just as he had expected. Soon, they would join the dozens of other species under Council protection, their resources and labor adding to the Council's power. If he had known about the antimatter reactors powering the hidden cities beneath Earth's oceans, or the quantum-locked weapons platforms disguised as simple communication satellites, his smile might have been less confident. The first move in humanity's great game of deception had begun. The Council would learn far too late that they weren't dealing with simple primitives. They were dealing with a species that had turned paranoia into an art form, and technological advancement into a shield against cosmic imperialism. 3 days into the diplomatic talks, Lisa Thompson sat in her underground office, surrounded by holographic displays. As Earth's chief intelligence officer, she had spent countless hours studying the Council's diplomatic vessel. But today, something else caught her attention. "Computer, enhance Section 47B of the alien transmission," she commanded. The hologram zoomed in on a stream of data that the Council ship had been sending to its home base. They thought their encryption was unbreakable. They were wrong. "Another primitive species secured. Read one message. Resource extraction can begin within standard cycle." Lisa's hands tightened into fists. The translation confirmed what Earth had suspected for years. The Council wasn't interested in peaceful cooperation. They were hunters looking for prey. In the Geneva Conference Center, Ambassador Reed sat across from the human delegation, his silver robes shimmering under the lights. The room was simple, almost crude by Council standards, perfect for impressing primitives with Council technology. "As you can see," Reed said, activating a small device that filled the room with stunning holographic images, "the Council offers protection to all its member species. Our fleets guard their worlds. Our technology enhances their lives." Captain Walker nodded, maintaining his mask of impressed enthusiasm. "Impressive technology, Ambassador. But what exactly does the Council want in return?" Reed smiled what he thought was a friendly smile. To the humans, it looked like a predator showing its teeth. "Oh, merely some basic resources. Your planet seems rich in rare elements. And of course, we would need to supervise your technological development. For safety reasons, you understand." Walker noticed how Reed said supervise, like a parent talking about controlling a child. Behind his diplomatic smile, Walker thought about the quantum battleships hidden in Jupiter's clouds, ready to launch at a moment's notice. In her office, Lisa discovered more encrypted messages, pictures and data about other species that had joined the Council. The truth was worse than they had imagined. "Look at these resource extraction rates," she told her assistant. "Planet after planet, stripped of valuable materials. The native species reduced to working in mines and factories, all under the guise of protection." She sent her findings to the Defense Command through secure channels. The Council wasn't just arrogant. They were systematic exploiters of younger civilizations. Back in the conference room, Reed was growing frustrated. These humans were polite, but they kept asking questions instead of simply accepting the Council's generous offer. "Perhaps a demonstration would help," Reed suggested. He activated another hologram, showing a massive Council battle fleet. "This is just one of our patrol groups. The Council's power ensures peace throughout the galaxy." Walker studied the hologram carefully, his neural implant recording every detail of the ship's design. "Impressive," he said, "though I noticed these ships seem to rely heavily on plasma-based weapons." Reed's expression flickered for a moment. How had this primitive noticed such a technical detail? But he quickly dismissed the thought. "Yes, the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. Nothing can stand against them." Walker smiled politely, thinking about Earth's quantum phase shields that could shrug off plasma weapons like raindrops. Most impressive indeed. That evening, Earth's leadership met in a bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Lisa presented her findings, and Walker reported on the Council's thinly veiled threats. "They expect us to simply bow down and hand over our planet's resources," Lisa concluded, "just like every other species they've encountered." "Well," Walker said, looking at the tactical displays showing Earth's hidden defenses, "they're in for quite a surprise if they try to force the issue. The Council's arrogance would be their downfall. They saw what they expected to see: a young, naive species ready for exploitation. They never stopped to ask why humans had achieved so much technological progress in such a short time. They never wondered what else humanity might be hiding. Their mistake would soon become apparent. The only question was, how many Council ships would they lose before they realized it? High Counselor Marcus paced the crystal chamber, his gray skin turning dark with anger. The latest report from Earth sat on his desk like a personal insult. They refused. He asked Ambassador Reed for the third time. "These primitives actually refused our generous offer." Reed shifted uncomfortably. They were polite about it, High Counselor. But yes, they said they need time to consider their options. Marcus slammed his fist on the table. In 10,000 years, no species had ever dared to delay accepting council authority. The humans' continued resistance was an embarrassment he couldn't tolerate. Enough games, he growled. Send in the battle fleet. On Earth, Lisa Thompson's quantum sensors detected the Council fleet's departure long before they thought possible. 200 warships, the largest fleet the Council had gathered in centuries, all heading toward Earth. In the command center beneath Mount Everest, military leaders from around the world gathered to watch the incoming fleet's progress. Right on schedule, Walker said, studying the tactical display. They're doing exactly what we predicted. Their ships are impressive, Lisa admitted, analyzing the data. But their technology is predictable. No real advances in the last 500 years. They'd gotten lazy. The room's atmosphere was tense but controlled. Earth had prepared for this moment for decades. Hidden factories on Mars had been building ships and weapons. Secret bases on Europa stockpiled quantum torpedoes. The entire asteroid belt was riddled with cloaked defense platforms. Message incoming from the Council fleet, a communications officer announced. Admiral Thex stood proudly on his command ship's bridge as he prepared to deliver the Council's message. These humans would learn their place, just like all the others. Attention Earth, he broadcast. This is Admiral Thex of the Galactic Council Defense Force. Your continued resistance to Council authority cannot be tolerated. You have 2 Earth days to surrender and accept your place in the Council. If you refuse, we will be forced to demonstrate our power. He smiled, imagining the panic his words would cause. 200 of the Council's finest warships against a primitive world that had barely mastered space travel. It wouldn't even be a fight. In the command center, Walker read the intelligence reports with growing confidence. The Council fleet was arranged in their standard attack formation, the same one they'd used for millennia. Their shields were calibrated for plasma weapons, their sensors searching for primitive fusion drives. They had no idea what was waiting for them. Send our response, he ordered. Admiral Thex was drinking his victory toast when the humans' reply arrived. He expected begging, perhaps some pathetic attempts at negotiation. Instead, he got 3 words. No, go home. The bridge crew fell silent. No species had ever dared to respond this way. Thex's face turned purple with rage. Begin the attack sequence, he ordered. We'll teach these primitives about real power. Deep in the command center, Walker gave the order they'd been waiting years to hear. Initiate Operation Revelation. Throughout the solar system, hidden bases powered up. Cloaked ships slipped out of dimensional pockets where they'd been waiting. Defense platforms emerged from asteroids like spiders from their dens. Sir, Lisa reported, the Council fleet is maintaining course. They haven't detected any of our deployments. Walker nodded, watching the tactical display as humanity's real military power took position. The Council thought they were dealing with primitives who would bow down before a show of force. Instead, they were about to face a species that had spent decades preparing for this exact moment. Let them come, Walker said quietly. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity can really do. The greatest trap in galactic history was about to be sprung, and the Council fleet was flying right into it. Commander William Stone stood on the bridge of the EDS Defender, Earth's most powerful warship, currently hidden in the dark side of Mars. For years, the massive vessel had remained invisible, its quantum stealth systems making it appear as nothing more than another shadow on the red planet's surface. Council fleet approaching optimal range, his AI assistant reported. All hidden units report ready. Stone smiled. The Council fleet was spreading out, preparing to surround Earth in their standard attack pattern. They still thought they were dealing with a handful of primitive ships. Begin Operation Revelation, Stone ordered. Show them who we really are. Admiral Thex was giving final orders to his fleet when his sensor officer suddenly shouted in panic. Sir, multiple contacts appearing everywhere. Thex rushed to the main display. What he saw made his blood run cold. All around his fleet, ships were appearing out of nowhere. Not small ships, not primitive ships. These were warships larger than anything the Council had ever built. Impossible, he whispered. Their technology level. They couldn't have. On the Defender's Bridge, Stone watched the Council fleet's reaction with satisfaction. From the dark side of Mars, the Defender emerged first. A massive warship 4 kilometers long, its black hull covered in armor that seemed to drink in light itself. From Jupiter's clouds came the Thunderchild and the Dreadnought, their quantum drives leaving trails of blue fire. The moons of Saturn opened up, revealing shipyards that had been hidden for decades. The asteroid belt came alive as hundreds of automated defense platforms activated. All ships, battle formations, Stone ordered. Show them our true face. In the Council fleet, panic was spreading. Their sensors were showing impossible readings. The human ships weren't using simple fusion drives. They were powered by something far more advanced. Their hulls were made of materials that didn't match anything in the Council database. Sir, a science officer reported to Thex, his voice shaking. These ships, they're using technology we thought was theoretical. Quantum shields, dark matter drives, dimensional weapons. Thex stared at the tactical display in horror. The humans had positioned their fleet perfectly, cutting off all retreat routes. And worse, their ships were still appearing. From under the oceans, from hidden bases on the moon, from dimensional pockets that shouldn't have been possible. In the command center, Lisa Thompson coordinated the fleet's movements through the quantum network. Each human ship moved with perfect precision, their AI systems working in harmony. Council fleet is attempting to regroup, she reported. Their communications are chaos. They're realizing just how badly they underestimated us. Walker nodded, watching the massive holographic display. Send the message. On his flagship's bridge, Admiral Thex received the human transmission. Commander Stone's face appeared on his screen, calm and confident. Admiral Thex, Stone said politely. Now that we've dispensed with pretense, let's talk about the future. Your ships are surrounded. Your weapons are obsolete against our defenses. And you're about to learn why humans spent so many years hiding our true power. Thex looked at his tactical display again. The human fleet was smaller than his, but their technology. It was like comparing stone spears to plasma cannons. Except this time, his fleet had the spears. You deceived us, he managed to say. Stone's smile was cold. We learned from Earth's history, Admiral. When powerful civilizations discover weaker ones, the weaker ones tend to disappear. So we made sure that when we met the galaxy, we would not be the weaker ones. The choice is yours now. Retreat or learn firsthand what humanity's warships can really do. The greatest revelation in Council history was complete. The galaxy's balance of power had just shifted dramatically, and nothing would ever be the same. Admiral Thex made his decision. His pride wouldn't let him retreat. All ships, attack pattern Alpha. Show these humans the true power of the Council. 200 Council warships opened fire at once. Plasma beams and energy torpedoes lit up space like artificial stars, all aimed at the human fleet. On the Defender's Bridge, Commander Stone didn't even flinch. Shields holding steady at 100%, his AI reported. Their weapons are having no effect. The plasma beams that had conquered 1,000 worlds splashed harmlessly against the human ship's quantum shields, spreading out like water on glass. The energy torpedoes disappeared into dimensional pockets before they could hit their targets. They had their chance to leave, Stone said quietly. All ships, begin combat operations. Remember, disable, don't destroy. The human fleet moved like dancers in a deadly ballet. Ships jumped through dimensional holes, appearing behind Council vessels before they could react. The Thunderchild phased through 3 Council cruisers, its quantum wake shutting down their engines as it passed. Lisa coordinated the attack from Earth Command, her quantum computers predicting enemy movements before they happened. Council ships still using standard attack patterns, she reported. They don't know how to fight an enemy they can't hurt. In space, the Defender demonstrated why it deserved its name. A Council dreadnought fired its main gun directly at the human flagship. The beam, powerful enough to crack a planet's crust, hit the Defender's shields. Instead of absorbing or deflecting the blast, the shields caught it, twisted it, and sent it back at reduced power, just enough to disable the dreadnought's weapons. Impossible. Thex shouted as another squadron of his ships went dark, their systems shut down by weapons he couldn't even understand. They're not killing anyone. They're just stopping us. His sensor officer's voice shook. Sir, these readings, their ships are manipulating space itself. They're using technology that breaks the laws of physics as we know them. A human ship half the size of his flagship appeared directly above them, having jumped through what looked like a tear in space itself. Its hull seemed to bend light around it, making it hard to look at directly. Admiral, a young officer called out, 30 more ships disabled. They're toying with us. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted less than 20 minutes. The Council fleet, pride of the galaxy's oldest civilization, hung helpless in space. Not a single ship had been destroyed. Not a single crew member had died. But none of their weapons worked, none of their engines responded, and their communications only worked because the humans allowed it. Stone opened a channel to all Council ships. Admiral Thex, your fleet is disabled. We could have destroyed you. Instead, we chose to show mercy. Remember that when you report back to your Council. Through the quantum network, Lisa reported, Council ships showing massive power fluctuations. Their entire fleet is in shock. They genuinely didn't think this was possible. In his flagship's darkened bridge, Thex stared at the tactical display. His mighty fleet, reduced to floating hulks by an enemy that had hidden its true power until the perfect moment. An enemy that could have destroyed them all, but chose not to. Power restored to engines only, the human commander informed them. You have 6 hours to leave the solar system. If you return with hostile intent, we won't be so gentle next time. As his defeated fleet limped away from Earth, Thex thought about how the history books would remember this day. Not as a glorious conquest, but as the day the Council learned they weren't the most powerful force in the galaxy anymore. Behind them, Earth's mighty fleet resumed their hidden positions, their quantum stealth systems activating once more. The message had been sent. Humanity wasn't just powerful. They were powerful enough to be merciful. The Crystal Council chamber was silent. The holographic display in the center showed the defeat of their fleet from multiple angles. High Counselor Marcus watched it for the 3rd time, his gray skin pale with shock. Play it again, he ordered, his voice barely a whisper. Once more, he watched as Earth's hidden fleet appeared from nowhere. Watched as humanity's advanced ships disabled 200 Council warships without destroying a single one. Watched as the pride of the Council military was sent home like scolded children. Ambassador Reed stood nervously nearby. High Counselor, we had no idea. Their deception was perfect. No, Marcus said quietly. Our arrogance was perfect. We saw what we wanted to see. On the Defender, Commander Stone received an unexpected message. The Council was requesting a direct meeting, not with diplomats this time, but with Earth's military leadership. They're learning, Lisa commented from Earth Command, finally ready to talk as equals. We'll see, Stone replied. But first, let's show them one more thing. Admiral Thex expected to be executed for his failure. Instead, the Council sent him back to Earth as part of the delegation. His flagship now repaired, approached Earth's orbit cautiously. This time, something was different. Sir, his sensor officer called out, I'm detecting energy readings everywhere. Across Earth's solar system, humanity's defenses became visible. Massive stations hidden in gas giants, shipyards inside asteroids, weapon platforms in dimensional pockets, all deliberately revealed. By the stars, Thex whispered. What we fought, it wasn't even their main fleet. The meeting took place on the Defender. Stone had chosen the location carefully, letting the council delegation walk through the massive ship's corridors, seeing the technology they had dismissed as impossible. Before we begin, Stone said to the assembled council leaders, we want you to understand something. Computer, activate main display. The room's walls seemed to disappear, showing a real-time view of Earth's solar system. Thousands of ships and stations glowed on the tactical display, each more advanced than anything the Council had. This is what we kept hidden, Stone explained. We could have conquered half the galaxy by now. Instead, we chose to wait, to watch, to defend. Marcus found his voice. Why? Why hide such power? Because we studied our own history, Lisa answered. We learned that when powerful civilizations meet weaker ones openly, the weaker ones suffer. So we made sure that when we met the galaxy, we would be strong enough to choose peace. On the Defender's observation deck, Stone showed the Council delegation their newest technology, a defensive system that could disable any ship without harming its crew. We call it the Guardian Network, he explained. It can protect not just Earth, but any world that needs defense against aggression. We're offering to share it with the Council. Marcus stared at him in surprise. Share it? After we threatened you. The past is done, Stone said. Now we look to the future. Earth doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We want to help protect it. The Council members gathered in their private chamber on their ship, discussing what they had seen. Their entire view of the galaxy had changed in a single day. They could destroy us, Reed said. Instead, they're offering to help us become better. Marcus nodded slowly. Perhaps that is why they deserve their power. The message had been clear. Humanity wasn't just showing off their superior technology. They were offering a choice. The Council could continue its old ways and face Earth's power, or they could embrace a new way forward, with humanity as partners rather than enemies. The galaxy's greatest power had revealed itself, but more importantly, it had revealed its wisdom. 1 month after the battle that changed everything, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. The raised platform where Council members once looked down on other species was gone. Instead, a round table filled the space, with Earth's representatives sitting as equals. High Counselor Marcus stood to address the gathered species. For 10,000 years, the Council ruled through power alone. Today, we admit this was a mistake. The chamber erupted in murmurs. Never had a High Counselor admitted error. Earth has shown us a better way, Marcus continued. They could have destroyed us. Instead, they showed us mercy. They could have demanded our surrender. Instead, they offered partnership. Commander Stone watched from Earth's seat at the table. Beside him, Lisa Thompson analyzed the reactions of various species through her quantum sensors. The former slave races watched with hope. The Council's old allies shifted uncomfortably. The first change, Marcus announced. All resource-sharing agreements will be renegotiated. Every species will have fair representation. Ambassador Reed, now a strong supporter of the new system, displayed the first results of human cooperation. Images showed Council ships being fitted with scaled-down versions of Earth's Guardian Network, defensive systems that could stop attacks without bloodshed. Together with Earth, Reed explained, we're creating a true defense force, not to conquer or control, but to protect. In Earth's orbit, the Defender patrolled alongside Council ships. Admiral Thex, now commander of the Joint Earth-Council Defense Fleet, watched his crews learning from human instructors. They're like teachers, he told his officers. They had the power to be conquerors, but chose to be guides instead. A small ship from one of the formerly oppressed worlds approached the fleet. In the old days, it would have been turned away or destroyed. Now, it was welcomed, its crew invited to learn and grow. Back in the Council chamber, Stone presented Earth's vision for the future. The holographic display showed a galaxy filled not with warring powers, but with cooperating civilizations. Earth remembers its history, he explained. We remember wars, conquests, the strong dominating the weak. We hid our power because we wanted to be different. Now we offer that difference to all. Lisa added, our technology isn't just for defense. Our quantum drives can help end resource shortages. Our dimensional engineering can solve space limitations. But most importantly, our commitment is to help everyone rise together. In the weeks that followed, changes swept through the galaxy. The Council's former slave races gained independence, protected by the new Guardian network. Trade routes opened to all species equally. The galaxy's economy boomed as human technology spread, carefully and responsibly, to worlds that would use it wisely. They're calling it the Great Liberation. Reed told Marcus as they watched ships from 20 different species dock at a new joint trading station. Worlds that never dared to speak to the Council are now joining the community. Marcus nodded, and we're stronger for it. Earth was right. True power comes not from domination, but from cooperation. 1 year after the battle that revealed Earth's power, Commander Stone stood on the Defender's observation deck. Below him, ships from hundreds of worlds gathered for the first Galactic Unity Conference. Report from all sectors. Lisa's voice came through the quantum link. Peace holdings across all monitored systems. The new defense network has prevented 12 potential conflicts. Former Council subject worlds are thriving. Stone smiled, and the Council itself, fully committed to the new way. They've discovered that sharing power actually makes them stronger. The future wasn't perfect. Some worlds still chose isolation. Some former powers still resented the changes. But for the first time in galactic history, there was a force powerful enough to maintain peace and wise enough to use that power justly. Humanity had hidden their strength until they could use it not for conquest, but for protection. Not to rule the galaxy, but to help it rule itself. And that, perhaps, was the greatest power of all.